Right, our next speaker is Dr. Stuart Waiton, who is a sociology lecturer at Abertay University. He is Scotland's answer to Jordan Peterson, if you know Jordan Peterson. So you will enjoy listening to Stuart. Over to Stuart.
I think it should be fine. That's okay, isn't it? That's all right. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know where to start, really. It's an interesting one. Just to give you a sense of myself, I'm not a religious person. I'm not a conservative person. I'm quite liberal about sex. I've been lefty who's campaigned for gay rights and against racism. And I'm utterly appalled about what is happening in schools at the minute, as you all are. And I'm going to go beyond, because I'm interested in trying to set up some kind of union or association, something like what was set up 100 years ago for people to fight back against things. And I'm hoping to organise a conference in November, which I hope you all come to try and look at these various issues, because it's not just for me, it's not just about the sex issue, it's other issues as well, where we find that what we have essentially in schools today is not education, but indoctrination, and that's a real concern I have. So, as you know, concerns have been raised in the UK, in Wales, in England, and in Scotland about sex surveys and sex education. Surveys, as have been mentioned, have raised issues to do with 14-year-olds asking them intimate details about their sex lives, something that even the Scottish Children's Commissioner has raised concern about. There's also concern about primary-age children being taught with the help of graphic images how to have sex. Some are worried about the promotion of pornography in secondary school, has been raised just there. And as I say, you don't have to be a conservative and you don't have to be a Christian to look at some of the material that is being taught to children and to think that education authorities have lost the plot. The word I would use is unhinged. What is happening in school is unhinged. The education authorities' promotion of transgender ideology, for example, is unhinged. Adults can do what they like to their bodies, that's up to them, but children being encouraged to think about their gender obsessively at a very young age is unhelpful and incredibly disorienting. In the Scottish Government's document supporting transgender children in schools, we're informed that if a child wants to change their gender, that is not a well-being issue. But if a parent raises concerns about this, that is a well-being issue. And so the current policy is to hide this from parents. This is an incredibly important part of a child's life. And as far as the government is concerned, these educators are concerned, this should be hidden from you, the parents and the grandparents. Through this new ideology, parents are represented as a danger to their own children. Schools are also, and this is another concern I have, they're also obsessed with racism. Indeed, the Scottish Government has said that it wants to embed race equality in every school and in every school subject. They even want maths to be anti-racist. And I'm not joking, that's serious. And this is happening in universities as well. I'm against racism, as I'm sure everyone else here is, but this obsession with racism is not helpful. Nor is the idea, if you've heard of this, of white privilege. In case you didn't know, you all have white privilege. Your children have white privilege, and this is being taught in schools. Some parents may agree with this idea, many, myself included, do not. But this is not education. This is a dogma. This is not a discussion about race and understanding racism. This is a dogma where you are taught that you have and your children have white privilege. This doesn't help black kids, doesn't help white kids. It seems just incredibly divisive and a different type of racism, as far as I can see. Teachers are no longer, or teaching rather, is no longer about the passion for the subject, which it should be, and the ability to pass on the knowledge to the next generation. Rather, it is about ensuring politically and emotionally correct values are engineered through our schools. As one commentator noted, when it comes to the politicisation of the curriculum, Scotland stands at the forefront of turning education into a form of mass social engineering. Many so-called right-thinking educators believe that children should be liberated. But liberated from what? The answer, I think, is liberated from you, from their parents, from their grandparents and the communities that they come from. From the perspective of our enlightened elites, you and your so-called traditional values are seen as the problem. You, we, are seen as bigots. And they are going to correct this and give our children their correct values. Make no mistake, what is happening in schools is a form of indoctrination. A senior educator concerned about what's happening in schools believes that it is almost impossible to become a teacher today unless you adopt the correct way of thinking. Getting a promotion and becoming a head teacher is becoming, again, almost impossible unless you take the knee to this new ideology.
Yeah, sure.
That is really, really worrying and dangerous. And make no mistake, this is an ideology. When parents raise concerns, they are made to feel like bigots. For what? For thinking that schools should be about education, for having a common sense understanding of what schools should be about, for thinking that perhaps, just perhaps, small children should not be taught all the intricate details of having sex, for daring to think that it's not helpful to teach children who happen to have white skin that they have a problem of whiteness, for thinking that promoting the idea of transgenderism to young children is not that helpful, or at the very least, believing that you, the parent, should be informed if your child says they want to change their gender. And the fact, as we've heard just there, the fact that this is hidden from parents is an absolute disgrace. What we need are new institutions and organisations, and I hope out of this something can develop like that. As I said, well over 100 years ago, ordinary people felt the need to defend themselves. They set up unions, they set up societies and collective bodies to protect themselves and promote their beliefs. That's what we need today. Yeah. After all, whose children are they? Are they your children, your grandchildren, or do they belong to the state? School should be a place of learning. It should be about knowledge. Believe it or not, it should be about maths, English, geography, history, and the sciences. School should be about education, not indoctrination. Thank you.